Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another episode of Friday Morning at the Fun House, and it wouldn't be a fun house without Mr. Martin Popoff. Good morning, my friend.
Morning, sir. Morning, sir. Ready to roll on this stack of stuff on a nice Toronto day. We've got a family trip planned to Rochester this weekend. We're going to be seeing the Micah Hyde charity softball game with 37 or 35 or so Bills playing in that, and we're going to go to a Buffalo Bisons game, and that's also in Rochester, and try get to the photography museum and stuff.
So we won't be that far from each other, actually, because I'll be up in Albany
exactly.
all weekend. So yeah, I'm
Where are
just
you?
far. Albany.
Albany. Okay. Yeah.
Far enough, but like
Yeah.
fairly close. Like if we wanted to say, hey, let's go drive an hour or two to go meet up, we
Yeah.
probably
Yeah.
could do that if we had the
Yeah.
time, right? But
Oh
obviously,
yeah, tight schedule, tight
I
schedule.
know.
You
I
got
hear you.
lots of stuff
I
to do.
hear you.
So
So what do you think, Martin? Are we ready to boogie today?
I think so. Yes, that's definitely the theme. I've got my this isn't exactly a fog hat, but it's a Pat Travers hat.
There you go.
Check that out. Let's see if we can get there. We go.
Off on the
Pat
radioactive
Travers
tour.
Radioactive World Tour 1981.
Wow.
So yeah, I'm ready to boogie, and I've got my ZZ Top letters handy as well.
Nice. Okay, cool.
So there we go.
All of
There we go. ZZ Top letters. That's all from the big promo kit thing. I'll be flashing a few more items from that as we go along. So yeah, we got this one too. Yeah, ZZ Top for president. There
There
we
you
go.
go.
Holding just behind Bobby. There we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah, so folks, we announced this last week, but there might be some folks watching. It's like, well, why did we pick these three bands? And when you really get down to it, and I guess in re-listening to all these albums again over the last week, it's like it makes a lot of sense because, you have an American band, you got a Canadian American English band, and then you've got a British American band, and they all play a very kind of American sound, like boogie rock, blues rock. There's a lot of Southern rock stuff going on in these albums as well. So it really kind of makes sense. And all three of these bands really started kind of peaking right around the same time, I think. All kind of came up together. So originally, Martin, it was just Foghat and ZZ Top. And then we figured, well, let's throw one more band in the mix. And just Pat Travers seemed to make the most sense. I know there were some people in the comments last week like, well, wouldn't it be cooler to put Pat Travers in with like Robin Trower and Johnny Winter and Rick Derringer and whatnot? But I think Travers fits very squarely in with these two bands.
Absolutely. I've been blown away. I've made the case before or quipped before that Making Magic sounds exactly like a Foghat album, and even down to even Pat's vocals versus Dave's vocals. They sound kind of like similar guys quite often, right?
Yeah.
But I listen to that album and I just chuckle and go, this could totally fool people and be a Foghat album. They get so close at times, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. So we've as we've been doing for the last month or so, we're taking all these albums, we're just throwing them up in the air and then ranking them as we like them. And I will say right now, there's some classics in this batch. There's some stickers in this batch too, as we'll get to. So it seems that happens all the time though, right? It's like I can't remember the last time we did something like this where we were like, well, the majority of these albums are all drop dead classics. But I think a lot of these albums, even the ones that maybe are kind of like middle of the pack, for me, as going through these, I find there's some albums here that have some dynamite songs on them, but then a lot of filler on them. So I found like the whole middle section of these kind of fall into that bracket where you've got some really great songs that you love, but the rest of the album, not so much. But there are some classics here. So what do we got? So we got 29. Geez, Martin, what do you want to do? You want to go five at a time, I guess, or I'm not good at math.
Okay, let's go five at a time. Sounds good.
All right.
Okay. All right. So, boy, I'm really going to rail against Foghat here, it seems, but they will redeem themselves later on. So I'm going to start with Zigzag Walk. Down at the bottom, I did a History in 5 Songs with Martin Popoff podcast episode called They Shrunk the Boogie, and there's a real theme here. ZZ Top, well, even they shrunk the boogie a little bit, but Foghat definitely did when it got to the 80s. Everything got poppier and smaller kind of thing. So this one's kind of funny. You get a little bit of Carsy, jerky, herky-jerky new wave on here, a little bit of a rock pile feel, even a little bit of blackout period Alice Cooper, and even a bit of Honey Drippers. So it's a whole amalgam of everything except heavy Foghat kind of thing. So there you go, 1984 for that one. Standard boogie, piano, quo shrinking the boogie kind of new wave stuff. The theme continues with Tight Shoes from 1980, my number 28. So this one really kind of struck me as every song on here has the same speed and the same sort of arrangement. And it also has a little bit of that Kinks problem. Even though we like those Kinks albums, like Low Budget and Give the People What They Want, there's sort of a what's the next one called? There's State of Confusion in there, and with World. Anyways, there's a kind of a stiff rhythm section feel and not great production, and I think you get that with this. It's a little brash and mid-rangey. So this reminded me of loud abrasive Kinks kind of thing a little bit as well. But yeah, everything sort of sounded the same.
And that album cover is just terrible. Oof.
Yeah, it's different, that's for sure. It's so non-Foghat, that's for sure. It's very new wavy looking, I guess, is what it is, right? Yeah, I never really kind of thought of it that way. And then Girls to Chat, Boys to Bounce, I have next at 27. Again, rock pile, new wavy. What do my notes say here? Hard, dopey pop, old style, teepid, boogie rock, pop, hard rock, nice heartland rock, 4 on the floor pop, weird watery slide, hard pop boogie, lots of 4 on the floor. You know, I don't like my 4 on the floor. That, of course, is where bass drum is on 1, 2, 3, and 4, and snares on 2 and 4. I don't like that thumping sort of 4 on the floor feel, but unfortunately, there's a fair bit of that on there. This is the only one I don't have a physical of. In the Mood for Something Rude, which is their covers album. Although it doesn't really sound like covers, it basically sounds like one of these 80s. I don't even hate these albums. It's a weird thing. I just can't rise to like too much that's on them, right? They're just kind of there. They're non-offensive. They're just this poppy boogie thing. I guess pop and new wave don't mix with boogie. That's probably what's going on here, right? Yeah. But yeah, this is all covers or outside songwriters, depending on what you want to call it. It's a little up tempo, but it's there's some rocky stuff on here as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So Pat Travers is next. The debut album. Oh, and I've got this that I thought is kind of a cool thing to show. The Pat Travers You Missed mini album. So this is like a promo thing of songs off of the first album. Let's see, selections from Polygram album PD blah 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 Pat Travers. So it's just a few songs off of that. So that's kind of cool. That's part of the opening days. And this is funny. We could almost do, well, it doesn't make sense to do a show on this, but the idea of there's albums that you kind of, it slips your mind that you're getting the year off by 2 or 3 years. I'm always surprised to hear that this is a 1976 album. In my mind, it's like a 74 kind of thing, right? Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, it doesn't look like a 76 album. It actually does look kind of old, right? With the whole grainy, sweaty shot there kind of thing. And even the back, right? They kind of, that reminds me of Budgie on the back of Bandolier. They look a bit like a country band. But yeah, so this record, I'm just not crazy about. It's a little bit too rootsy rock and roll. It's got Maybelline on it. Boom Boom I never liked. Makes No Difference is the classic. It's the amazing heavy song on here. But you got an instrumental, barroom boogie, hard rock, blah 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 kind of thing. So yeah, just a little bit too into the boogie for me. So that is my first 5.
Cool. All right. Well, I think there's some similarities here at the bottom half of the list. My number 29, I'm going to go with Foghat's In the Mood for Something Rude. Covers, outside writers, kind of done Foghat style, although, I don't know, a lot of this just doesn't sound like Rip Roaring Foghat. I kind of like Slip, Tripped, Fell in Love. That's pretty good, but the rest of it to me is just kind of bland, uninspiring. I don't like the drum sound, and I don't like all the synths, and that's kind of like we're going to see a lot of that in this time period. Number 28, I'm going to go with Zigzag Walk. Foghat doing new wave and rockabilly. No, thank you. This is that album cover is awful. This is just pretty limp. I don't like the drums. I don't like the synth sounds. To me, Foghat and synthesizers just don't go together at all. Silent Treatment at least has some tasty guitars from Eric Cartwright playing with the band, but other than that, I can't recommend this album at all. So that's my number 28. Number 27, I'm going to go to the Tight Shoes album. Here this is kind of the beginning of starting to sound a little slick. At least part of the album kind of rocks, though. Loose Ends is pretty good. Too Late the Hero, Dead End Street. but I find the rest of the album just pretty forgettable. So yeah, another bad Foghat album. 26, Girls to Chat and Boys to Bounce. Again, new wave, pop, funk. You know what's Mark, you know what some of this album reminds me of? Hot Space
Yeah.
by Queen.
Oh,
Even Dave's vocals sound a little like Freddie here. I don't know. It's just funky. It's just groovy. I don't like it. There's not enough guitar in here. Love Zone is kind of like generic boogie rock. Delayed Reaction even sounds like a power pop song. I don't know. This to me doesn't sound like Foghat at all. Don't like it. And I'm gonna go with my number 20, 25. I'm gonna go with Boogie Motel
okay.
right here, which to me is their last pretty decent album. Somebody Sleeping in My Bed, that's a pretty fun rocker. Coming Down with Love, it's got some really good guitars on there. The title track I think is really good, and Nervous Release cranks. The rest of the album is just kind of generic sounding, but half of it's really good. The other half is just okay. And those are my first five.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so my number 24 is Foghat Foghat. There's gonna be a little bit of a theme here. I'm probably gonna have some of these older ones. It's the pathology of me and Pete, where he's probably gonna like some of this older stuff a little bit better, and I'm finding a little clanky and depressing. But no, not really with Foghat or ZZ Top. The Brown period to me is just a little bit too rounded off and boogie woogie and a little bit too traditional kind of thing. But yeah, you know, trouble, up tempo boogie rock. What do we got here? Twangy country bluegrass rock, quo boogie shuffle, cool textured southern rock on Sarah Lee, thumping not heavy, kind of cool on Highway Killing Me. Maybelline again. We got Maybelline twice in this show. A Hole to Hide In. I really like that's like heavy early ZZ Top or Pat. But yeah, Brown period Foghat. That's my number 24. My number 23 is Foghat Boogie Motel. Stay tuned. Foghat's going to do a little bit better later on.
We hope, right? All the
yeah,
Foghat
yeah.
fans are like, no.
Yeah. The funny thing is I keep thinking this is one of those albums that you really want to like more. And I look at that album cover and think you can't get a more classic Foghat album cover. Like this,
totally.
this looks like it's going to be one of the better Foghat albums, right? But they've kind of already gotten into that up tempo commercial hard rock, you know, brutal 80s drum sound on here as well. Yeah, Boogie Nervous Release is great on here. That's almost like it's almost like a metal song, right? On here. And Somebody's Been Sleeping in My Bed. They had a bit of a hit with that. Let's see. We've got number 22. I'm gonna go with Rock and Roll Outlaws. Always had it in for this album, never liked it very much. Don't play it a lot. Don't like 8 Days on the Road. It's kind of oddly R&B-ish to me. You know, I'm not crazy about my straight boogie rock or my blues, but I don't like R&B even more kind of thing. But what else? Trouble in My Way, acoustic Southern ballad, pretty cool. No drums on that. Rock and Roll Outlaws is, yeah, you got some cowbell on this album, so it's pretty cool. And my other mistake that I make, like the Pat Travers all the time, is I've always had it in my head that Energized is newer than Rock and Roll Outlaws, but it's the other way around, I guess, right? And it's 2 albums in 74 is what they manage, right? But anyways, yeah. The other you know, we know Foghat has 3 Brown period albums and ZZ Top has 2. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Okay, next is ZZ Top Afterburner. I never appreciated the fact that this was basically Eliminator 2. I think Sleeping Bag is an ingeniously well put together song. I really like that. I love the rhythm of it and the beat and the kind of dropped beat and the Metallica Escape snare hook to it. It's kind of got a snare hook going on. And yeah, the rest of it, I mean, it is kind of cool that they are, you know, furthering this idea and getting even more electronic with the drum sound, which is not a terrible thing. It's just kind of an interesting, but I don't feel like the songs really stand up all that great on it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and one more. I've got Foghat Rock and Roll. So I've got one with Green Foghat. and I've got one with brown Foghat up there.
Look at
So
that.
this is rock and bun or Foghat or rock and roll, depending on what you want to call it. I really like Ride, 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 with the whole See the Train I Ride, that kind of cool thing. There's some Skinner type stuff on here. I think What a Shame is a little bit like Kiss. We've got a little bit of Little Feet funk on here as well. Interesting band. So much parallels with early days ZZ Top, I find, with this band, because they're trying to figure out how to make the blues interesting for metalheads, kind of thing. And I like that sort of theme to it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's my next 5.
Cool. All right, my number 24 is ZZ Top Afterburner. Yeah, this is basically Eliminator 2.0, but not nearly as good. I agree with you. Sleeping Bag, I think, is a really fine song. It starts off the album really good, and it kind of falls off a cliff from there. Yeah, I mean, Rough Boy, I guess it's got some good guitar solos. I think Billy's guitar tone on this album is really good, but I've already tired of the drum nonsense by the time this album came out. Velcro Fly is kind of amusing. Yeah, it's just a pale Eliminator. Did we need another Eliminator, and especially one so inferior? I don't really think we did. So yeah, that's my number 24. I'm going to go 23, Foghat, the debut album. Kind of like you, I think they haven't really figured it out here, and it's a shame. I mean, the album cover is great. I think they look kick-ass on the album cover, but it's just, to me, it's a lot of generic boogie stuff. I mean,
not enough Ted Nugent, too much Savoy Brown, basically, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, well, yeah, perfect. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I Just Want to Make Love to You is terrific. Sara Lee sounds like Southern rock. So does Highway Killing Me, but the rest, it's just, standard boogie tropes here, and it's not quite hitting what we love about Foghat yet. So that's my number 23. Next up, I'm going to go with Pat Travers, Radioactive. Killer album cover. I just wish the album itself was as killer as that album cover is. I mean, New Age music is, to me, one of the coolest songs because it's just so different. I mean, reggae metal. Have we ever gotten reggae metal, Martin? Never, right? I remember when the first time I heard that song on the radio, I was like, wow, that is awesome. And then I went out and bought the rest of the album, and I'm kind of like, I mean, my life is on the line, and I just want to live it my way or decent. The rest of it, I don't find all that much interesting at all. There's way too many keyboards on here and not enough guitar. And by this point in time, Pat Thrall's pretty much already out the door. But yeah, I mean, a lot of potential there, but unfortunately doesn't really live up to it. That's my number 22. 21, I'm going to go with Stone Blue. I want to make sure I didn't skip anything here. Yeah, 20, 23. Yeah, Stone Blue from 1978. I mean, the title track is one of their classic songs. It's awesome. Rod Price is just all over the place on Sweet Home Chicago. Easy Money is high energy. I like high energy Foghat. High on Love is also good. I think their cover of Chevrolet is good. The rest to me is a little on the mediocre side, but I still think it's a pretty decent album. So that's my number 21. And
we're on Stone Blue in a couple hours.
Yeah, probably. I figured as much. That's all right. One more, right?
Yep.
Let me find. Hold on. Got all these 2-on-1 things here. Rock and Roll Outlaws from Foghat. That's this one right here. Yeah, I mean, 8 Days on the Road, Hate to See You Go, title track, Blue Spruce Woman, Chateau Lafitte 59, Boogie, all crisp, kind of high energy boogie stuff. I like the production of Nick Jameson on this album. I really like the atmospheric song Dreamer as well. But, to me, this is kind of middle of the road Foghat, but still pretty decent. I think they would get better, obviously, over the next few albums. But yeah, that's my number 20. And back to you.
Okay. All right. So 19, we've got Pat Travers' Hot Shot. Okay. So my problem with this album, I play this album a lot, but I only play the same 3 or 4 songs over and over and over.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. It's so weird with this album because I hate my 4 on the floor, if you haven't noticed before. And there's some 4 on the floor on here, definitely. So to me, it's not the heavy songs that I like on this one, though. What I love on this one are the ones that have a little bit of that Heartland Sammy Hagar pop sound to them. So that would be Women on the Edge of Love, In the Heat of the Night, Night into Day, and Tonight. So it's all side two. It's got some rockers on side one, but I just cannot stand the rhythm section on this album. I don't like the production in general. But yeah, it's got some rockers on it. And it's got one of these comedic covers. There's Pat Travers all wealthy and Pat Travers all poor. There we go. Next, we've got Pat Travers Radioactive. This also same kind of thing with Pat. I love 3 or 4 songs here, and I play them over and over and over again. And that would be Feeling in Love, I Can Love You, New Age Music, My Life is on the Line. I Don't Want to Be Wake is kind of fun too, as a heavy one. It's got an instrumental on here with Electric Detective. Don't Like Play It Like You See It, which is just bluesy. Untitled, I can't remember what it sounds like because it's untitled. So I've got no clues. But I do like sort of the concept of this, which is modest, new wavy, broken down, falling apart Pat Travers. It's kind of a weird sort of casual Pat Travers. But again, loving the poppy things on here. So I've got that at 18. 17, I've got ZZ Top's first album. Same kind of deal where this is actually a really, for 1971, this is actually really good production. It's really warm and bassy and mid-rangey and enough highs. And the arrangements are kept nice and simple on it. I think they kind of get it together faster than Foghat gets it together.
Oh,
this
absolutely.
is a pretty cool album. Yeah, it's heavy blues rock. It's a little bit in that zone of Led Zeppelin leaving the British blues boom and doing something exciting, and this is these guys doing the same thing. It's Billy picks up his inspiration from Zeppelin, Cream, Hendrix. And I think they do a pretty good job of having some good heavy stuff on here. There's some shuffle, some straight blues, but yeah, Brown Sugar is pretty heavy. Backdoor Love Affair is moderately heavy. Yeah, it's a good solid album. And literally, it's the kind of album that if you love the blues, like say if you're a massive blues fan and all that, Chicago blues and 50s and everything coming up, this is the kind of thing that really sounds like an exciting blues album, right? Okay, so let's see, 19, 18, 17, 2 more. Foghat Energized is next, 1974. Always had a lot of love for this album, especially Wild Cherry, which is just up-tempo, amphetamine kind of boogie rock. Golden Arrow is a good poppy one. Fly By Night is cool. Just kind of like poppy hard rock with a hint of the blues. Home in My Hand is kind of the exact same thing. I think this is a good version of That'll Be the Day, although I don't like that song. And Honey Hush is your bizarre train kept a roll and rewrite kind of thing. So it's kind of like action packed. There's lots going on. It's fairly heavy. I just think it's a lot of value on this album. And I think I have one more. I'm going with Pat Travers Making Magic, which again, I think play this album because I think this is just so funny how much this sounds like a Foghat album, just the exact product mix of a Foghat album. And love the title track, Making Magic. The production's amazing on it. It's really good. It sounds super good. You're starting to get that cool funk metal direction that he perfects with something like Hooked on Music on here as well. Yeah, let's see what else we got here. Yeah, okay, yeah, that's my other notes there. So yeah, good hard rocking, mid-period, entering his golden era album there. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5, right? Okay, yep. So all right, Foghat Making Magic. We are okay. All right, back to you.
All right. More about a couple of those a bit later on.
Okay.
All right, my number 19, I'm going to go with Black Pearl from 82. Okay. Again, kind of like a lot of the Pat Travers albums from this time period. Some really good songs, and to me, some filler. A lot of keyboards on here. I like I La 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 Love You. I think that's pretty memorable. It's fun. I'd Rather See You Dead is a good kind of catchy rocker. I like that. Stop the Heartache also rocks. Mgwana Kick Booty, to me, kicks all sorts of ass. That's probably like the big highlight on the album. But the rest to me is just kind of mediocre. And you got this big, long, kind of bluesy thing called Rocket at the end, which has some really good guitar work on it. But yeah, that's my number 19. Number 18, I'm going to go with the Pat Travers debut. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you. It's like this album does not sound like from when it came. It definitely sounds a little bit older. I'm not crazy about the production. It's very kind of like kind of sterile and safe. There's like no edge to Pat's guitar work, which I think is really weird. Some of the songs are pretty good, but it's definitely not, it's more funky and boogie rock than some of the later stuff. Stop and Smile's good. Feeling Right is pretty good. I mean, Makes No Difference is killer. That's one of his classic tunes. As My Time Flies is decent. The medley's pretty good. But I tell you, Martin, I never liked Boom Boom Out Go the Lights. Not even on the live album. Don't even like seeing him play it live. I don't know what the fascination with that is. And Maybelline, I think, is pretty terrible on here. So yeah, this is Pat just trying to figure it all out. But it's decent in spots, but it could have been a lot better. Next up, we're gonna go with Foghat Rock and Roll, or Foghat 2, whatever the hell you want to call it. Lots of raunchy guitars. I think this dials up the energy quite a bit from the debut. Ride, Ride, Ride is a lot of fun. Long Way to Go, What a Shame, Helping Hand, Road Fever, all amp up the slide guitar mayhem, which I think is really starting to make its, Rod Price is really starting to make a name for himself right about this album. So I think it's a decent album. I dig it. Next up, we're going to go with ZZ Top El Loco. I think this is a good album, seeing ZZ Top kind of moving a little bit more into kind of what we came to expect with them, going into the 80s and whatnot. But, Tube Snake Boogie is loads of fun. 10-Foot Pole is good. It's So Hard. Pearl Necklace is a great track. And I like the production of this album. I think it's just got a good, like, nice, warm sound to it. So that's my number 15, right? Is that everything?
Oh, I think
I missed one. Hold on. I missed one.
Okay.
Yeah, that is my number 15, but I missed my number 17. So let's back up here and I'll finish off my spot here. So Hot Shot is number 17 from Pat Travers. I agree exactly what you said. I think we have different favorite songs on here, but I also agree that half the album is really good. The other half doesn't do a lot for me. I love Pat's guitar tone on the album, but I Gotta Fight, Killer, Just Try Talking to Those Dudes, Hot Shot, Women on the Edge of Love. I love all those tracks. For me, it kind of, the second half kind of dips out a little bit. But I remember when this came out, thinking what a weird album cover, because he's, again, I guess I get the juxtaposition between the two, but I'm like, Pat really wasn't a big star at this point in time, so it's kind of like interesting. You see this, like, but yeah, back end for me is
he looks like a plantation owner on the front of that.
Yeah, it's just kind of ridiculous, and then the back is just, he just looks like regular old Pat, so it's like whatever. So yeah, am I done? Is that
yeah, you're done? Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right, so here, let's we'll put my Pat hat back on for number 14 here. So Crash and Burn. I remember being disappointed with this album when it came out because it's quite mellow. I love how the back cover looks like the live album, and it looks like a total live album. But I like when Pat does these reggae songs, right? So I really like Crash and Burn on here. I like Is This Love on here. But I think Can't Be Right is one of the greatest songs he ever did. Just a really cool, heavy one with that sort of minor key kind of goofiness to it. It's kind of cool. Snort Whiskey is a great song, super heavy, really rhythmic. Born Under a Bad Sign, is on here. It's a cover, but it's a pretty good version of it. And side 2 kind of falls off for me. So yeah, it's not a heavy album at all, except for basically Can't Be Right and Snort and Whiskey. But oddly, it reminds me of Star's Attention Shoppers, where the whole thing was mellow, but the 2 heavy songs were really, really good on that album. And this is kind of like that as well. I think the production's really good. But yeah, they definitely take some chances on here. Not a heavy album, but I got a lot of time for it. Take the Pat hat off. And next I've got Rio Grande Mud, ZZ Top. So basically, this is just kind of raising the stakes a little bit. We got Chevrolet sounds good on here. Cocoa Blue is up tempo on here. Apologies to Pearly, instrumental blues shuffle, could do without that, but Barbecue's up tempo. Whiskey and Mama's almost metal on here. Francine, wow, Just Got Paid is basically very close to my favorite ZZ Top song ever. So yeah, just the two highlights by far to me are the two big hits on it, which are Francine, which is the Stonesy song, and Just Got Paid, which is pretty technical metal on here. So yeah, lots of good stuff on here. Basically on this, it's almost like it's got the core really good stuff, and they or say the core middle of the road pretty good stuff, and they replace the bad stuff from the first album with the really good stuff on here. So it's just kind of an improvement all around. So that's 1, 2, 3 more. So next I've got Pat Travers, Putting It Straight. This is kind of his more thoughtful, technical, almost fusion-y sort of album, I find. The playing gets a little jazzy and cool. We've got Nico on here, Nico McBrain, soon to be of Iron Maiden. Life in London is such a rocker on here. Getting Better is into his a lot of this is into his sort of Jeff Beck funky fusion thing, but it's hard rock, and it's kind of really good performances on here. So this is the intellectual Pat Travers album out of all of them, I would say, right? Okay, 2 more. Next I've got Stone Blue, and here's my my blue vinyl promotional Stone Blue single. Kind of cool. And then there is the album Stone Blue, and I love the title track on here. I just think it's so cool that it's when you run out of Stone Blue, rock and roll sure helped me through. Chevrolet is really good on here. Easy Money's like the metal tune, and the rest of it's pretty rocking and up tempo. Side 2 kind of does fall off a little bit, but yeah, it's got the good old Foghat charm. This is I think this is the last of the golden period for these guys. And I think I have one more. I'll go with Eliminator. Funny thing about Eliminator, when this came out, I remember thinking this is actually the heaviest ZZ Top album. It's wall-to-wall guitars and loud and noisy, even though everybody was down on them for being quite, rigid with the sort of electronic, quasi-hybrided electronic normal drums. It definitely it loses all the grooves ZZ Top ever had. It's very regimented. It's dance metal is even
basically
the way Billy talks about it. But it's, even the hits are very heavy on here. Got Me Under Pressure is heavy enough. Give Me All Your Lovin's heavy enough. Sharp Dressed Man is heavy enough, right? And then, Bad Girl and I Got the Six of the two heaviest songs on it. Legs is really cool. I think it's just a good variety of interesting songs. If I could only flag her down, it's like an up-tempo shuffle thing. TV Dinners is atmospheric and cool on here as well. So yeah, I got a lot of time for it. It's pretty cool. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Do I have one more? Hang on. Rio Grande Mud. Where did I go here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I'm done. That's it. Over to you.
Cool. Yeah, I got my next one up. Number 14 is Eliminator. Yeah, it is a heavy album. I think for me, and maybe for a lot of people, it's just kind of played out for us, right? Because we've heard this so much, and we heard all the songs on the radio, and we saw all the MTV videos. But when you get right down to it, it's a pretty cranking album. Electronic drum sounds notwithstanding. I mean, Giving All Your Love is great. Got Me Under Pressure just totally kicks ass. Sharp Dressed Man, Legs, Thug, TV Dinners. I mean, there's all sorts of crunchy stuff on here. Billy sounds amazing on this album. You got to give him credit for it. And the songs are great. That's what it's down to. I've heard it. I don't really need to listen to it all that much anymore, but it's just a really cranking album. So that's my number 14. Number 13, I'm going to go with, let me find it. Where is it? Hold on, Martin. These damn 2-on-1 Foghat CDs always screw me up every time. All right, here we go. Night Shift by Foghat, 1976. Dan Hartman production. Pretty wild and raucous album. I dig this. Driving Wheel is just absolutely terrific. Don't Run Me Down. Burning the Midnight Oil. Totally heavy. Title track kicks ass. Again, another one of those albums, I think the back end maybe falls off a little bit, but overall, I think this is pretty much top shelf Foghat. So that's my number 13. Number 12, I'm going to go with, where is it? Putting It Straight by Pat Travers. So again, it's right here. Another one of these 2-on-1s. Yep. Cool album cover. I think the Pat sound is really starting to happen on this album, right? With the heavily chorused guitar, and I like your little comparison to Jeff Beck there. There is little fusiony things happening on here. I mean, Offbeat Ride, that's kind of this funky fusion-y instrumental, really cool. Getting Better kills, love that. Speak Easy is killer. Life in London is one of his best songs that probably should have been on that live album, right? Dedication's got lots of cool organ and guitar. Really, really good album. I dig it a lot. Next up, we're gonna go with ZZ Top Tejas. Another really good album. A lot of cool, interesting sounds on here. I mean, Arrested While Driving While Blind. I mean, great, great song. Love the instrumental. I think Billy's kind of silky guitar tones is really, really strong on here. $10 Man is great. El Diablo is great. Really, really enjoyable album. Again, it's a little mellower maybe than a couple of others that came before, but I think very tasty and very melodic. Really, really strong stuff. Next up, we're going to go to ZZ Top Fandango. Half live, half studio. I think the studio stuff just absolutely kills on here. So much good cranking ZZ Top on here. I wish like the live stuff had more like original songs and not just like covers and things like that. But and I wish, and we've talked about this on the channel before, I wish they did like a full live album during this time period and a full studio and not done this, but I still think it's really good and the cover absolutely kicks ass. I mean, all sorts of just great stuff on here. You know, you got Long Distance Boogie and you know, forget the Blue Jean Blues and all that kind of stuff, but just really, really good stuff. And his guitar tone is awesome on here. So number Fandango is number 10. What do I got? One more?
No, that's it.
That's it. Okay, cool.
Stop there. Yeah. Okay. So, my number 9 is a Fandango. Totally agree with everything you just said. I think this is the greatest side of ZZ Top ever. Yeah, Mexican Blackbird. Heard It on the X is basically
Heard It on the X kill. I didn't even mention that. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of amazing metal tune. Definitely one of my favorite songs they ever did. I love Balinese as well. And Nasty Dogs and Funky Kings is another technical cool metal one, right? Those two are in my top 5 ZZ Top songs, easy. But then, of course, the other side, we get kind of the big rock and roll medley idea. Uriah Heep, Sweet. Who else did one of those? Queen used to do that live all the time, right? Yeah, ridiculous. So yeah, too bad. I don't like that whole idea of the live and mixed in with it as well. But yeah, I think that's a better side than any side on Tres Hombres. Basically, love it. Okay, so my number 8 is Pat Travers' Black Pearl. I had this higher than you. I know it's a weird one, a contrarian choice. What I like about this is it reminds me of Putting It Straight in that it's very thoughtful and meticulous and well put together. Certainly after Radioactive, it's way, way more accomplished, right? And I think I La 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 Love You is an absolute masterpiece. I transcribed and did a whole transcription of the drum part of that and learned that. It's so good. I think it's maybe his best song ever. And again, I just love Misty Morning on here. When he does the reggae, I think it's really cool. And I like the first side with I'd Rather See You Dead, Stand Up, Who'll Take the Fall. So yeah, it just it's got a classy album cover, classy back cover, and it just feels classy. There's something about it, just he's still trying to be poppy and stuff. But that's interesting. Management, Doc McGee at this time. Interesting. Can't Stop the Heartaches, I like on it as well. So yeah, just I appreciate and respect this album probably more than I like it, kind of thing. But it goes up the list here. Next I've got El Loco, and this one I don't have a physical of except for my what I've got in the 6-pack thing there. So I've got it through 6-pack, and I basically have always liked El Loco. I know it's a little mellow, it's a little conservative. It's also a little poppy. It's got a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It lacks sort of the looseness and the humor of DeGueo, but actually, it's got the humor, I suppose. People consider it a little new wavy, but I've just got time for it. I think both the hits are good on it. I even like Layla, I think it's called, right? Party in the Patio. Yeah, it's just a lot of good songs on El Loco. So I've got it up here all the way at number 7. I forgot to show this. This is a Pat Travers I La La Love You radio 12-inch single.
Wow, look at that.
Bizarre, look at that. Talk about marking things up in a radio station, eh? Tape all over it and the weird stuff. And there we go, side 1, blah blah blah. Okay, next we've got Tres Hombres. Love this album. Yeah, it's so gorgeously paced. In terms of the amazing songs on here, I lean towards Master of Sparks and Precious and Grace and Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers. I named my Motorhead book after that. I called it Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers because they covered it, right? I think Waiting for the Bus, Jesus Just Left Chicago, which you usually hear together, are pretty cool. I'm a little played out with LaGrange. I find it a little simple, but I like Chic. Have You Heard is a little bit maybe too bluesy. Move Me On Down the Line is like the newer version of Francine, that Stonesy thing. So yeah, love a lot of this. I could I put this higher? Maybe. Who knows? But yeah, it's looking really good here.
Ask me, I'll tell you yes.
Yeah, but the production, I'm not crazy. I don't think they it's quite mid-rangey and blocky,
yeah, it's a little
kind of thing. There's of course the famous, gotta show the famous Mexican food,
Mexican feast. There you go.
There, right? Mexican feast. Okay, I've got one more. My highest ranking Pat Travers, which is Heat in the Street.
There you go.
Love this. Pat doesn't like the production on it. I like the production on it. I think it's very high fidelity, a lot of bottom end, but it's really warm. It's not very heavy metal production, but it's muscular. And Heat in the Street with that dropped beat that apparently Tommy had some trouble with. Hammerhead, your instrumental with double bass on here. Go All Night is maybe his best of those funky songs. So yeah, good album. Yeah, there's a few here I'm not crazy about. Yeah, I should have. I'll make an executive decision here right now. I'm moving Tres Hombres up to 5. I'm moving this down to number 6 at least. But yeah, good album. Love it. The summer vibe of it is totally in the grooves as well as on the album cover.
Yep.
There you go. That is my 9 through 5.
All right, cool. My number 9 is Crash and Burn by Pat Travers. Basically ranks high because of a handful of songs. Kind of just what you said. I mean, we know what the songs are. I think the title track is really kind of cool, kind of groovy, reggae, proggy type thing. There's no guitar hero, nothing on that track, but it's still really, really cool. Can't Be Right is awesome, exactly as you said. I mean, that's Travers and Thrall at the height of their powers right there. Snorting Whiskey totally kicks ass. I love their cover of Born Under the Bad Sign. Kind of falls off for me. I really don't dig most of the reggae stuff. I don't like Is This Love on here at all. Yeah, the Big Event, Love Will Make You Strong, Materialize. I don't really care as much about those. But the first half of the album to me just totally does it. And I kind of like the production of the album too. I think it's pretty neat. Next up, I'm going to go with Fool for the City. This is the one I had the hardest time with. I had like 2 Foghat albums that kind of like were passing each other and dipping back, and this is one of them. I think the title track is a great anthem. I like Nick Jamison's production on this album. I think it's really good. My Babe is cranking. Slow Ride, everybody loves Slow Ride. How can you not? Terrapin Blues has got this big wall of guitars. Again, I find the back end of the album kind of misses the mark for me a little bit. Although I think Take It or Leave It is kind of a weird, kind of like yacht rock, soft rock track with a lot of nice subtlety. I really like that. It's very different. It's like you don't want to like it, but then you listen to it, you're like, some really good musical things going on here. But yeah, it's I think this is their best-selling album, Martin, right? If I'm not mistaken, and I totally see it.
Actually, live is at double platinum.
The live, okay, but I mean, for the studio albums, I think this is one of their best-selling albums. And yeah, for a reason. It's a really.
I think it's platinum. I was. Well, actually, I've got it up on my other screen here. Yeah, the funny thing about this band is they kind of almost had as much. It'd be interesting to compare directly the success with Blue Oyster Cult, but get this: first album, gold, if you can believe it. Second album didn't certify. Energized, gold. Rock and Roll Outlaws, gold. Fool for the City, platinum. Night Shift, gold. Stone Blue, gold. Live, double platinum. That's
pretty solid. Yeah, hell yeah. That's I think a little bit more successful than Blue Oyster Cult when you really get down to it. That's not bad. I never realized there was that many gold plus albums. Ooh, that's good. My number 7 is Dueo by ZZ Top. Love this album. This is the album that kind of really got me hooked on ZZ Top all those years ago. I Thank You is killer. We all love the Cheap Sunglasses. Manic Mechanic is just so big and ballsy and metallic. I mean, you name it. It's all really good. Nationwide. I mean, great stuff. I love the production of this album too. Really, really top shelf ZZ Top there. Next up, I'm going to go with Making Magic by Pat Travers.
Oh,
Love the groovy title track. I think like even though this is just Pat playing guitars on here, I think he with this album he got the kind of the bug for doing the kind of twin guitar thing because he was pulling in Pat Thrall not that long afterwards. Rock and Roll Susie's got some blazing guitars again, those kind of harmony guitar things going on. It's kind of southern rocky, really good. Stevie's awesome, really good. Need Love is good, funky hard rock. He did a lot of that around this time. Hooked on Music, another killer track. Love the guitar playing and love the guitar tone on this album. And I think he and the band were really kind of onto something here. This is where it all really clicked as far as like Pat goes. And what do I got? One more.
one more.
One, two, three,
Yep.
four. All right, one more. We're gonna go with I like this one a little bit more than you. Energized by Foghat, my highest ranking
Nice.
Foghat album.
Yep.
Honey Hush rules. Step Outside is all sorts of funky. Golden Arrow, loads of guitars. Home in My Hand is catchy, great. Wild Cherries is absolutely blistering. Fly By Night, another good heavy one. Nothing I Won't Do, raunchy as hell. Love the overall guitar raunch of this album. I think this is just really good. The title of the album is perfect. This is high energy Foghat. This is the Foghat I like the most, and it's pretty early on too. But I dig it. So that's my number 5.
Nice. Okay. All right. My number 4. So 4 left. I'm going with Foghat Night Shift. Love Night Shift to death. Let me just actually do this here. Just take a look at the so basically, this is to me prime period Foghat. I love this year. I love this sort of 75, 76, 77 sort of period. To me, Drive and Wheel, Don't Run Me Down, and Burn in the Midnight Oil is the perfect side of Foghat.
Yeah.
I just love all 3 of those songs, and it's cool that it's a 3-song side. And then Night Shift with the Diablos in Musica, almost Devil's Note tritone kind of thing going on there. You never hear that from Foghat kind of thing. And that's really cool. So that's a great sort of metal tune, right? And then it falls off a little bit after that. But yeah, love this album, play it all the time. And, I keep trying to get into, the other songs on here. But yeah, Take Me to the River, I never need to hear again, done by anybody. But yeah, I'll be standing by, kind of a 3-4 time ballad. I got some time for that. Hot Shot Love's kind of cool, except I hate that tom as snare thing, right? When anybody hits the tom instead of the snare, it drives me nuts, kind of thing, right? So yeah, that's my number 4.
Do you see the trend here? I mean, we've hit this all throughout this list. Is we have albums that were ranking fairly high that we like a lot, but really there's like a select number of songs on each of them that are just really plowing through for us.
Yeah.
And without those songs, we'd be hating on a lot of these albums, I think.
Exactly. So it's like our peaks and valleys episode.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah,
yep.
Definitely. That's the theme. Okay, so my number 3 is Foghat Fool for the City. I've always loved pretty much everything on here. I think Fool for the City is just such a good rockin' tune. It's staying away from the boogie thing. It's interesting how he's, there's a massaging in of a little bit of acoustic guitar in there. My Babe is like an up-tempo shuffle, but it's just so fun. And yeah, Nick Jameson's production is great on here. Slow Ride is close to, I would say it's their masterpiece. I think it's got some of their most magic moments on it. The big jam, just the whole groove of it. I think the chemistry and the magic of the band is best captured on Slow Ride, and of course, it's their most famous song. Terraplane Blues, even though it's a cover, is just a big, heavy rockin' tune. Yeah. Save Your Lovin' for Me takes me back to the popular stuff on Energized. It's just really good guitar, hard rock, but in this period rather than the 80s period. And Drive Me Home's amazing as well. And Take It or Leave It. Yeah, so it's the mellow one on it, but yeah, basically the entire album, I'm happy with this entire album, so that's kind of cool. Next we've got at number 2, I've got ZZ Top de Guayo, and there we are with the double cover to it. So you got this thing on the outside and then this thing on the inside. Yeah, I just love the kind of intimacy and high fidelity, but still kind of like miniature sound of this album. I think it's just sequenced so well. It's got a lot of humor to it. Songs like Cheap Sunglasses, Esther Be the One, those probably be my favorites on here. Fool Fool for Your Stockings is good as well. Manic Mechanic is a little bit like the Party on the Patio sort of comedic thing to it with the spoken kind of vocal on there. I Thank You is a good cover on here. I think it's a cover, right? Yeah. And Dust My Broom as well. But yeah, just Low Down in the Streets, good too. Low Down in the Streets sounds like Cheap Sunglasses and Esther Be the One. So to me, this is like they're shrinking the boogie, but they're keeping it kind of high fidelity. This is kind of like a Stonesy thing, right? Like the reason I love Some Girls, Emotional Rescue, Tattoo You is kind of the same reason I love this album so much. It's just a lot of fun, great production, a lot of little doodads, a lot of little sound effects all over the place. Great album. And then my number one of all 29 is this one right here. We've got let's see, how shall we present this? So we've got the Tejas poster. The new ZZ Top album is here. Yeah, the new ZZ Top, it's here. We've got the Tejas poster. We've got the instructions for how to display your ZZ Top letters that came with the big promo kit, with the Tejas kit. We've got the even bigger Tejas poster.
Look at that.
We've got the Tejas two-sided laminated with the little hole at top hanging store display for Tejas. You've got the Tejas sticker. And we've got the Tejas album flat. The only thing I didn't take out is the Tejas album. But love this album to death. To me, you're right. This is a mellow album. They took a lot of chances on this. Let me get my track list up here of oh no, we'll leave that. But basically, this to me, this is like the proto version of DeGueo, Arrested for Driving While Blind, Snappy Khaki. There's a lot of that. Frank discovered his little that beat. He does that kind of all over this thing. Billy has so many interesting guitar sounds on here as well. They've just opened up the sonic palette so much, and it's kind of like country rock, a little bit Little Feat. There's some songs on there that are written heavy but not recorded heavy. I just think it's a masterpiece all the way through. Asleep in the Desert, such a great little instrumental with the acoustic on there. To me, it's a concept album, and the concept is the shrunk ZZ Top, the shrunk, quiet, subdued, reflective, asleep in the desert ZZ Top. I think it's just an absolute masterpiece. And yeah, that and DeGueo are my number one and number two, and they're very similar albums, I think, except Tejas is kind of like takes 30% of the humor away. I think DeGueo is more of a party album. They both have humor, but DeGueo's like more like made for radio sort of thing.
Yeah, Tejas is kind of reflective almost, right? Yeah.
So I love those. So all right, that's the end.
Cool. So ZZ Top at 1 and 2. Will we see something similar on my end? Perhaps. Number 4, ZZ Top's first album. Love it. Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. They bust right out of the gate with a really fine debut, then went off to the races right from there. I absolutely love Brown Sugar. It's one of my favorite ZZ Top songs. It's so heavy. I love the soloing in the beginning. Man, it's just so gutsy. Swank is good going down to Mexico. Neighbor is a lot of fun. Just got back from Babies, Backdoor Love Affair. I love it. I like the sound of it. It just it's amazing just how young they were at the time, and they pulled off something like this. Really, really good stuff. Number 3, I'm going to go with Heat in the Street from Pat Travers. Boom, right there.
Yep.
First album of Pat Thrall. Title track is amazing. Killer's Instinct. It's kind of heavy, kind of funky, kind of bluesy. Again, got that Southern rock twist, which I think they did quite a bit. Hammerhead just absolutely crushes. Man, Tommy Aldridge just on fire on this song. So good. Go All Night is just a guitar feast. Just love that. Evie, nice and heavy. Prelude is a great instrumental. And I even like One for Me and One for You, even though it's kind of mellow. I think it's really, really cool. Nice, tasty guitars on there. I like the production of the album, just like you said as well. Yeah, really love it a lot. And my number 2 is Rio Grande Mud. I mean, yeah, again, just this band just right out of the gate just killed it. Love Francine. Just Got Paid is just terrific. Apologies to Pearly. Barbecue is great. Chevrolet is so good. Whiskey and Mama is crushingly heavy. That's basically heavy metal right there. And I dig the production here. I love these early ZZ Top records, in case you didn't know. And my number one, I'm also going to go with a 1 and 2 at ZZ Top. Tres Hombres. To me, top to bottom, it's unbeatable for me. Love Waiting for the Bus. Love Jesus Just Left Chicago. Love Beer Drinkers and Hellraisers. Master of Sparks. For me, those first 4 tracks are just like, it just doesn't let up. Master of Sparks is so cool. It's just right in the pocket. Really tasty. Hot Blue and Righteous is great. Move Me On Down the Line is fun. Precious and Grace, another big, heavy lumbering tune. Love it. LaGrange, I've heard a million times. To me, I think LaGrange and like Tush, they're two of their bigger hits from the early days. And I've heard them a million times. I don't need to hear them much anymore. But Chic and Have You Heard are both excellent on here. And the production is what it is. It's kind of like muddy and mid-rangey. I'm so used to it though at this point. And then of course you got this wonderful Mexican feast in the middle, topping off a perfect album pretty much. So yeah, there you go.
I'll correct you. I didn't have a ZZ Top 1 and 2. I had a ZZ Top 1, 2, and 3 because you convinced me I'm going to move Tres Hombres all the way up to number 3 on my list.
There you go.
So it just kicked off 2 Foghats and 1 Pat Travers. We got
there you go. And Martin, to be honest, I could easily move ZZ Top's first album to number 3 in place of Pat Travers. That's how much I love it. So yeah.
Wow.
So really, we were very ZZ Top heavy and very Foghat bottom heavy, both of us.
Yeah.
And in the middle
and again, our pathology played out too, where you lean towards some of the earlier stuff a little more, and I'm always leaning to the late 70s stuff, right?
We are so predictable, Martin. What can I tell you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Good old Tres Hombres. Excellent. Okay, there we go.
So, there you go. I'm very happy you did that.
Good stuff.
So for everybody watching, now you have the ridiculous task of doing what we just did here. So try and rank all these albums as you like them down in the comments below. I'll be very interested to see like where the real Foghat fans kind of place these albums. Not that we're not fans, but I think for me, half of this Foghat catalog from this time period is just like this kind of deserves to be down at the bottom. But at the top end, there's some really great Foghat albums here. So and then Pat's just Pat. So. Anyway, we are in honor of Martin's brand new Van Halen at 50 book, which I will be reviewing on the channel here later today for everybody watching. So please check that out and go consider making a purchase. We are going to do an all Van Halen themed episode next week. We're going to take a look at, there's a reason why we're picking the 80s next week, because we're going to look at the Van Halen albums released in the 80s, the Sammy Hagar albums released in the 80s, and the David Lee Roth albums released in the 80s. And we're going to do this exact same thing. We're going to throw them all up in a pile, and we're going to rank them. Just the 80s albums. The reason we're not doing the 70s, because David wasn't releasing solo records back then. So those few Sammy albums we won't be talking about, but all the 80s stuff we will be. So that's coming up a week from today. And stay tuned for that. And Martin, between now and then, I know you got lots going on, Contrarians in the podcast and books and things. So you want to get everybody filled in on what's happening there?
Yeah, always check out our Contrarians video channel. We just had the weekly album cover show the other day, which was all Barnyard album covers. And I've got the audio podcast, History in 5 Songs with Martin Popoff. I've been sending out my updated list of the top or all 255 episodes to my database. But the last one was called what was it? Golden Era Quo Intros. And then the next one that goes up next week is going to be called Heavy Metal Duets. martinpopoff.com for all the books, Led Zeppelin visual biography, the panel books, the Blurs Took Out the Robert Plant, the Thin Lizzy, and the Van Halen at 50 are the recent ones.
All sorts of stuff. For those of you who can't keep up with Martin's books, just keep trying, because he's going to keep pumping them out, right? So martinpopoff.com is the place to go. Check them out. Lots of good reading. I still got the Thin Lizzy visual biography I got to read, and I really enjoyed the panel book. That was a lot of fun. Can never read enough about Thin Lizzy, as far as I'm concerned. So, all right, what do we got coming up here? So just a couple hours, Ken Golden will be coming in for the Professor's Picks. That'll be here at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. Tomorrow, we've got the UK Connection in the afternoon. Simon, Stephen, and myself will be doing an album war. We're going to do a little Americana here. We're going to go Bruce Springsteen, Born in the USA, going up against Bob Seger, Like a Rock. That's coming up tomorrow. afternoon. Tomorrow evening, Rich Catino and I will be doing part 3 in our look at the new wave of traditional heavy metal bands that are popping up all over creation. So we got another 5 bands to talk about, to turn you on to. That's coming up tomorrow evening. And then Sunday, Grant Arthur will be back, and we will be ranking the albums of one of Martin's favorite bands of all time, Firefall. So make sure you tune in for that. Why does any band be Firefall, right, Martin?
Exactly. Yeah.
Actually, they're a little bit more interesting than Bread, Martin. Trust me.
Yeah,
I think you might
funny.
actually like some of this stuff, perhaps,
Yeah.
maybe not. So that's all coming up the rest of the weekend. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube all together all the damn time. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. For Martin Popoff, I am Pete Pardo. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. We'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.